If you already have shares of a company, you are thinking of buying shares of a company, you are a student or a busy professional. If you have anything to do with shares, this video is for you. I am the Commerce Specialist. Welcome to my channel where you will find videos covering learning outcomes of various academic qualifications and professional certification, including life-changing business ideas and hacks. In this video, I'm going to talk about what to do when a company makes you a right issue offer. So before we get into the details, please understand when a company sells their shares for the very first time, we call it initial public offering. Subsequent to that, they can sell more shares, and most of the times when they're selling additional shares, what they do is they prefer to ask their existing shareholders, do they want to buy the shares? If not, then they are free to sell it to the public. Most of the time when they're selling additional right shares means they give an option to their existing shareholders because it is their right. They have already invested in the company. So if the company is selling additional shares, it is their right. That company asks them first. Now this right issue can be at a special price or at market rate. So here we are going to discuss if you are a shareholder in a company and the company is announcing a right issue, what you should do. So we have a question here to explain that. It says X company has 50 million shares in issue with a market price of $110 each. Company has announced a right issue of 3 new shares for every 5 shares, and the price would be $100 each. Now Stafford company has already 2 million shares in the same company above, X company. What we are asked is to calculate theoretical X right price of X company first. So let's do that. Then we'll come to the other requirements. So theoretical X right price is normally called TERP. Okay. What we do here is first we look at the market value of existing shares. So there are 50 million shares and the market value is 110. So when you multiply, you get 5,500. This is all in millions. Now we are issuing 3 new shares for every 5 shares. So what you do is, we're talking about right issue. So there are 50 million shares already. Now please remember, they are offering 3 new shares for every 5 shares. So what you do, what you're getting you write on top, and for what you're getting you write down. 3 new shares for every 5 shares. So that will give you 30 million new shares, and they are offered at a price of $100. So that will give you 3,000 million. So what you do is you add the value of shares in dollars. This will be 8,500, and the total shares you have is 80 million. So your theoretical X right price will be 8,500 divided by 80 million shares. That will give you $106.25 each. So in other words, the theoretical X right price is the average. So total value of shares divided by the total number of shares, the average price of shares after the right issue will be $106.25 each shares. Now is the interesting part. If you have a look at this, they're asking, calculate the effect on net worth of Stafford company if they opt for the right shares, they sell their rights, and they do nothing. So let's have a look at them one by one. For example, number 1, it says if they opt for right shares, that means they buy the right shares. So before right issue, if you look at Stafford company had 2 million shares. Each share has a market value of $110. So that gives us around 220 million. Now they are buying right shares. So please remember, they already have 2 million shares. And when they buy the right issue, which means they have 2 million shares and the offer is 3 new shares for every 5. So keep 3 what you're getting in the numerator and for what you're getting in the denominator. So this gives you 1.2 million new shares. So total you are having 3.2 million new shares, and each share will be having a value, obviously will be this theoretical ex-right price, which is 106.25. So this will give you 340 million. But remember, you are buying right shares. When you're buying, you have to pay. You're buying 1.2 million shares and the price quoted is 100. So you minus 120 million from here. So how much you are left with? 220 million. So before right shares, your total wealth is 220 million. Even if you buy right shares, your total wealth will be the same. After is also, before and after is the same. Your total wealth has not changed if you have opted to purchase right shares. Number 2, it says if they sell their rights, what will happen? So I'm doing it here. Number 2, if they sell their rights. Selling right means that whatever preferential right they have, they are selling it to others. They are not buying the shares, but their right, because it is their right to buy the shares, they have the right to buy the shares. This right they are selling. So this means that there is some value of right. So first we find the value of right. Value of rights. Simple, you have theoretical ex-right price minus the right issue price. So theoretical ex-right price we have calculated as 106.25 and the right shares are offered for $100 each. So you minus that $100, it's here. So the value of right is $6.25. So they already have existing shares. So if you look at the value of that, they already have 2 million shares, and because they are not taking the rights, after rights these 2 million shares will be for 106.25. 106.25. That will give us 202.5. This is all in millions. And then obviously they are selling the right. One share they are selling for here, and you remember 1.2 million, they have the right to buy 1.2 million new shares. So if they are selling their rights on 1.2 million shares, for each share they are selling their right, which is worth $6.25, you will get, additionally, this is the amount you are receiving by selling the rights, okay, which is 7.5 million. So in essence, you will have again 220 million. If you sell your rights, you don't buy the right shares, sell the rights to somebody else who will buy the shares. So what will be your wealth then? Your wealth will be 220. So if you look at, before the right issue, they have 220. If they opt for right shares, still after that their wealth is 220. If they sell their rights, still their wealth will be 220. Now, interestingly, the last one. If they do nothing. Doing nothing means I am a shareholder in a company. The company has announced right issue. The company is calling me that if I want to buy, I can buy additional shares which they want to sell, and I don't say anything. I don't buy the right shares. I don't sell my rights. I just stay freezed. I don't do anything. So then what happens? If I don't do anything, what will happen? My 2 million shares will now have a value of 106.25, which will be 212.5 million. So if you look at number 1, if we opt for right shares, our value before opting was 220 million. After taking the rights issue, there is no difference, no effect on the wealth, 220 million. If we sell the right, our wealth will still be 220 million. If we do nothing, we will be left with 2 million shares. But after the right issue, if we don't do anything, don't buy, don't sell anything, then what happens? Each share would be worth this much. So our wealth will be this much. So it is advisable, either you opt for right or you sell your rights. Please don't sit and do nothing, because you will lose. And obviously you are losing 7.5 million. So guys, if you have understood right issue, what to do when a company offers right, obviously you do the calculation which I taught you and then make an informed decision. If you have any other question relating to right issues, please leave it in your comment. I'll be happy to address. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me to grow further. If you like this video, please share it with your dear and near ones so that others can also benefit. Thank you so very much for your precious time. Love you all.